Good morning.
Good morning.
Before I start the communion meditation, I just want to say that song Revival, if you look back in the history of the church and of the world, there have been so many times when we were saying, as a human race, everybody's saying things are falling apart. We're all going to hell. It's just a disaster. And then all of a sudden, a revival came along. And it changed things. And it caught on fire. It started in one little tiny church. And the next thing you know, the churches all around them were on fire. And then after that, pretty soon the whole country was on fire. And it happened in England. It happened in this country. And it's happened numerous times. And at this point, folks, we need revival here. We really do. And it's not far off. I really believe that it's coming. And it's either revival's coming or Jesus is coming. It's one or the other. And I suspect that he's not ready yet. And so I think we're going to see revival. I really do. And so that, now to get to the communion meditation, I heard a story. I was at Carol's church yesterday, and the priest got up and told a story, and it was so good I just have to repeat it. And it's about they're doing an estate auction, and the auctioneer's doing the auction, and he's selling everything off, and finally he gets to this old violin, and it's all beat up, it's dirty, the strings are loose, and he holds it up and he's looking at it, and he's thinking, I don't even know if I should be bothered. But he does. He starts to send it off, put it up for bid. And he said, well, anybody bid $1? Well, they bid $1. And finally somebody bids $1. And he goes, well, somebody bid $2 for this violin. And somebody finally bids $2. And somebody finally bids $3. And then the bidding kind of sticks, won't keep going. And if you know how it works at an auction, I've been to lots of farm auctions, that when the auctioneer wants to get more money and nobody's bidding, he creates something. He'll try and get your attention to get you interested in the item that's being sold. And so all of a sudden, this old gentleman stands up in the back of the room and comes walking forward. And it looks like it's the auctioneer that's involved in this. And so the old man comes forward and he picks up the violin and he dusts it off. And he tightens the strings on the violin. And then he picks it up and he picks up the bow and he starts to play. And everybody's, a little rowdy at first, and all of a sudden stillness goes across the whole place. And they listen to the old man play the fiddle, or the violin, whatever you want to call it. And probably a violin in this case. And so he gets all done, and everybody starts to clap, and they're all happy. It sounded so good. And the auctioneer looks around, and he goes, who will bid $1,000 for this violin? Who will bid $1,000? And a bid goes off for $1,000. He goes, who will bid $2,000 for this violin? Who will bid $2,000? And another hand goes up. And he says, who will bid $3,000 for this violin? And another hand goes up. So the violin sells for $3,000. And after the auction was over, one of the people there asked the auctioneer, they said, why did that happen? Why did that violin go from almost nothing to a very high price? And the auctioneer said very quietly, the hands of the master touched it. And when that gentleman, that was probably a professional violin player, touched that violin and it played, it was fantastic. The music was fantastic. And folks, we're kind of like that violin. We're nothing that fabulous. But when the maker puts his hands on us, we can do all sorts of things. We can make magic. We can stand out. We can do so many things. But we have to have his hands on us, because as humans, We think we're good, but we're really not that good. You know, you look around you at everybody here and all the friends that you have and think about them, they really aren't that good. Now, you're pretty good. I'm sure you think you're pretty good. But in reality, none of us is really that great. But when the Maker puts his hand on us, the Master, he can do all sorts of wonders with us. And so I want you this week, as you go about your daily duties, I want you to be thinking about how the Master's standing right alongside you. All you have to do is let him put his hand on you. And you can do whatever he asks you to do, whatever you need to be doing. And most of us think we can't do something for God. And in reality, we all can do it. All we have to do is have his assistance. It's pretty simple. So join me in prayer. Lord, you are just so mighty, so great, and so holy. You're the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, the Alpha and Omega. You are, I am. And you have been from the beginning, you always will be, and you will be at the very end for us. And Lord, we are so grateful that you sent your Son to die on the cross for us so that we could spend eternity with you. Lord, we ask you that you put your hand on our nation and send us revival, that you just fill all these churches that are so empty. There are so many churches that are struggling today, and there are churches that are preaching the gospel and preaching the word, and it's time for revival. Give it to us, Lord. Help us to come into these buildings and see them overflowing with people wanting to serve you and worship you. Lord, thank you for all you give us daily. Thank you for all these folks that are here this morning. Thank you for all these blessings you pour out on us daily that we don't even pay attention to and we don't even think about. And everything is a gift from you. Everything. You give us so much. And yet sometimes we just ignore it. We don't even see it. Every breath that you give us, every little thing that goes on in our lives, it's all a blessing from you. In one way or another, it's a blessing. Thank you for all of it, Lord. Keep your hand on this church. Help it to grow and thrive. Keep your hand on our nation, on the school that's here, on our communities, everywhere, Lord. Let us see you in everything and let people see you in us. Thank you, Lord, for all you do for us. We ask everything in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen. Folks,